Japan is one of the most popular civs in Civilization 6, mainly because gamers and anime watchers go hand in hand. Set aside your body pillow for a minute and I'll show you how to actually play Japan in Civilization 6. Japan is one of the most versatile civs as they combine their modern cultural significance and their early modern... In any case, Japan in Civ 6 is that one kid in school who played on every sports team as they can do anything in the game at a high level. Check out my other videos of the same series, playlist in the description, and you all picked Japan last time, so let me know down below which civ you want to see me do next for this video format, and I'll pick the most popular option. Japan's leader ability is just neckbeard things cringe. Despite sounding like something a full-time Reddit mod would say, Divine Wind is actually not that bad. It's almost terrible. I say almost because of the fact half-cost theater squares, holy sites, and encampments are great in games you actually want these districts, but they don't have any synergy aside from a culture victory where you can get holy sites and theater squares. If you're going for domination and build holy sites, there's something wrong with your strategy unless you're playing Byzantium, and encampments are even less useful for culture and faith, and if you are going for a science victory, you literally have no leader ability. Although for culture victories, faith is really nice, so you at least get to make use of 2/3 of the abilities in one victory type. This ability is really mostly useful in the mid to late game where you can build districts you don't need to increase the adjacency of other districts due to Japan's civ ability, which we'll get to in a little bit. First part of the ability is worse than Kanye's Instagram since his wife started getting railed by the neighborhood kid who ate worms off the ground. The fact that you get 5 combat strength on the coast or shallow water really doesn't do a lot in most games unless you have RNG gods on your side in a fractal map or you're in an archipelago map, which, you know, looking at real life Japan makes sense, but civ isn't real life as evidenced by Arabia starting in tundra tiles, and most of the time you won't be able to make too much of this ability unless you're really lucky. Japan's civ ability is... oh my god! These yields. The best Japanese ability that is the main reason stopping me from committing seppuku is the Meiji Restoration. All districts get +1 adjacency for each adjacent district, so cuddle up kids, it's getting cold in here. This works for every district in the game that gives yields and lets you get at least +6 adjacency for every district surrounded by others, with potential for more depending on things like mountains, aqueducts, dams, etc. This is golden, as no matter what victory type you go for, you will always have an easy out for monster districts, and with such an easy requirement for success as building districts is something everyone already does, you'll want to snuggle up your cities real close so you can maximize the usage from this ability. Japan's unique unit is Rambo Montage in Civilization 6. The Samurai is a pretty bog standard unique unit, aside from the fact that it could have literally one dude. That one dude will take on the ghosts of his ancestors or some shit and do full damage as if it was full strength. Having damaged units reduces your combat strength drastically, but the Samurai ignores that and lets you do full damage at any health. It has 3 more combat strength than a regular man-at-arms, which it replaces, same production cost, and costs 10 less iron to build, and is unlocked with feudalism on the civic tree instead of apprenticeship on the tech tree, which, depending on how good your early culture can be, can come before the regular man-at-arms unit in a regular game. This thing is an absolute behemoth, especially considering it upgrades from a swordsman after the April update, immediately shooting it up to one of the best unique units in the game. With this, domination games are much easier as they can and will one-shot anything around for a good period of time. You add in oligarchy as well as maybe even, I don't know, battle cry promotion and a great general, you are looking at over 60 combat strength units in the medieval era. Japan's unique building is the Anime Production Factory. The Electronics Factory is a factory replacement that gives 4 culture for the city, which, yeah, that's about it. Factories are already must builds in most games anyways, and the fact that you will maximize the 6-tile COVID range of the factory, as your cities will be very near each other, you can get that 4 extra culture in almost every city, as the production will help you with any victory type from culture to domination to science, so you really can't go wrong with building this in any sort of game. And now the main big daddy strat. Japan is a unique civ in that it can, no joke at all, go for and win every victory type faster than the Macedonian Empire collapsed in our real time. Looking at the abilities, especially the Samurai and the Meiji Restoration, lets you have a decisive advantage in literally anything. Like, you could start a cooking show with Japan as the main theme, and you would literally win a culture victory with that. That is part of what makes Japan so good. But I think we can all agree that domination and culture are the best quote-unquote strategies, as the bonus to districts and faster encampment theater square holy site production, not to mention the Samurai, will lend itself best to these victory types, so I'll just give a main strategy on both victory types this time instead of just one. For culture, you want to go all in on theater squares, as you are the only civ who can get godly adjacency with them consistently. Theater squares are the hardest districts to get adjacency for, as they only get them from wonders or entertainment complexes, which are two very rare things to have, so go for early empire into the big PP, into theater squares, and then entertainment. You want to plan out your districts and settle as many cities as you can, keeping them within 3 tiles to maximize district production. For technologies, get astrology into worker techs, into writing and ironworking if you see an opportunity for expansion the good old-fashioned way, you know, the Russian way. From there, you want to beeline any wonders you want on the tech tree before getting industrialization for the electronics factory, and potentially the Ruhr Valley for faster wonder production. Get some civic wonders like Bolshoi Theater, Broadway, Sydney Opera House, whatever you want to call it, for more slots, culture, and work on getting as many great writers, artists, musicians as possible, while getting culture and production city-states as your suzerain if you can. Not to mention, after that, you'll want to beeline the rock bands and conservationists. It's pretty much a normal culture victory game, but Japan only gets half-cost theater squares and better adjacency, which is great but doesn't deviate too much off the normal path. This strategy will allow you to get other people to listen to your rock music and wear your blue jeans, listen to your anime soundtracks, and eat your sushi, and you'll be able to win a culture victory in no time flat. For domination, you want to beeline writing into ironworking, into siege towers, and maybe trebuchets as you work on getting encampments up for some great generals. Culturally, go for early empire, into the big PP, into samurai at feudalism. This path lets you work on your infrastructure early game, settle some cities, get a couple great generals, and maybe even siege units while working towards a powerful samurai rush. I don't know if going for theater squares is the better option before feudalism, as the extra culture might let you get samurai a little faster. Let me know down below in the comments if you do know which way is better. Finally, with your samurai, take out 1 to 2 civs while working on your next science push for better units and culture push for corps and armies for extra combat strength. Afterwards, make a push for fascism and planes to start the East Asian co-prosperity, to begin kamikazing planes into American shit to get a decisive advantage over everyone else in the modern era. Don't let your units die, of course, and in fact, it's better to go for a swordsman rush if there is an opportunity, and at least promote your swordsman a bit during the war, as with battle cry and extra movement speed, you will have 55 combat strength and 3 move speed samurai with just 2 promotions, and they won't lose combat strength for being low on health. Now that's broken. It's kind of like, wait, do you smell that? It smells like Babylon. If you do enjoy the video, leave a like and subscribe to not miss out on future content, and to add an extra 6 inches where it matters. Let's get back to the video. Now for some secret strategies. Secret strategies for Japan could literally be any other victory type I didn't already mention, as they are the only civ good at every victory type, but that's no fun. So let's concoct some new ones like a mad scientist and make a Frankenstein creation. Let's just get started. The first one is full-on Faith Crusade Grandmaster's Chapel Rush. That is right, Christianity got to Japan early in this timeline, and with your early extra holy site production, you will get faith faster than anyone else, especially with the adjacency boost. Getting Crusade into Grandmaster's Chapel lets you buy units with faith and gives them 10 combat strength in enemy territory. A great domination strat that makes use of both faith and domination at the same time. This can be used in a culture strat even, where you actually want holy sites, and this can be an extension of a culture strategy, as getting the Grandmaster's Chapel is something you really should be doing anyways, so just start a couple wars with your samurai, take what you can, consolidate your holdings, and you'll be that much better off and closer to a culture victory. Another strategy is big money for Japan. Not the best strategy admittedly, but it can be a lot of fun. Spam commercial hubs everywhere on rivers and with districts surrounding them. They will get at least 8 money for each commercial hub, doubled with the double adjacency commercial hub policy card. With traders and markets, this is even better, as within 2 arrows you can be swimming in Mansa Musa levels of money, and from there you can buy almost anything, letting you get new cities and districts up and running as soon as possible. The best wonders for Japan include, well, it depends on the win condition. For culture, anything that has great work slots, but namely Bolshoi Theater, Hermitage, Broadway, and the Sydney Opera House. For domination, Terracotta Army. The culture wonders all have 3 things in common. They give you great writer, artist, musician points, they have great work slots, and they come late enough in the game that the AI, even on deity, shouldn't have a head start in building them, and with your culture generation abilities, you can actually end up building all of them. With all these wonders, you'll have enough space for all the great people and get a larger potential amount of tourism, which helps you win culture just a little bit faster. For Terracotta Army, it's the only domination wonder in the game, as there is no other wonder for war. There's no other wonder for war. Yeah, it's the only one. And the free promotion is extremely helpful once you have 2 to 3 promotions on units already, and will get you the best bang for your buck experience-wise. Now, I only recommend this if and only if you have time on your hands, as for domination, you can build 2 to 4 units for the price of 1 wonder, which will always be better. Now, for the best governments for Japan are in this order: oligarchy, theocracy, fascismo, and whatever one suits your fancy at the end. Oligarchy gives all melee units 4 combat strength and experience, which helps out the samurai even more, and while Classical Republic is a good option for culture victories, even then going for a quick samurai rush, committing atrocities, and then going back to culture acting like nothing happened afterwards is a Japanese tradition and represented very well in this game. Theocracy lets you spend all that glorious faith you have to buy more units and generate more faith, letting you make use of it in domination, culture, and religious victories to great effect. Don't forget the Grandmaster's Chapel for domination to spam out units like Call of Duty spams out subpar games every year. Fascism is obvious. There isn't really a culture or faith tier 3 government, so I'd recommend democracy if you're going down the culture, the normie route in that case. But with fascism, all units gain extra combat strength and less war wariness, which is helpful when you're role-playing real-life Japanese fascism. Just go for this if you're going for a domination victory. If you somehow get to the tier 4 government, get whichever one suits your needs: synthetic technocracy for power, digital democracy for amenities, and corporate libertarianism for domination. Pitfalls to avoid. Some pitfalls to avoid falling into and wasting away in are: number 1, using the divine weeb strategy when it isn't worth it. Look, if you're going for a science victory, don't build encampments in the early game. And if you're going for domination, don't build holy sites, usually in the early game. While it might seem like a waste considering how fast you build these districts and the fact they give extra adjacency, if it isn't needed in the early game, then you're wasting your time on it, as that time could be spent better making other districts that you actually need, as in the early game you will only have a limited amount of districts you can build due to population limits. It doesn't matter that the new 400-inch 32K TV is just $5,000 and on a 99% sale. If you don't have room or money for the TV, you're just not going to get it. And it's the same thing with these districts. If it's not worth it at that stage in time, don't feel like you have to, because you can build it in only 4 turns. Note that this is for the early game, as mid to late game you want to spam out every district you can get, as the extra adjacency is always worth it. The second pitfall is to literally kamikaze your samurai. Look, they might be super powerful with their literal one-man army strats when they get low on health, but it isn't worth using them only to lose the 4 promotion double attack samurai you had the next turn. You still want to be careful with them, and honestly the best way to play with them is to play them normally. If the unit is low on health, retreat. If they can for sure survive, then attack. Even with the combat buff, it can be too tempting to recreate actual Japanese feudal era strategies, which in all honesty didn't work out too well for them and won't work for you. The third pitfall is 2-in-1, not having cities butt naked next to each other and not surrounding every tile you have with districts. The more districts next to each other, the more yields they will have, and the better off your civ will be. Now, contradicting the first pitfall kind of, again, the first pitfall is meant for the early game. If you have nothing else to do and you can build a district, then build it. Not building the most amount of districts is just leaving precious yields on the table. Let me know down below which civ you want me to go through and how to actually play next, and I'll do the most popular one in the comments. The most important tip is to not upgrade your warriors until you can get samurai, and then upgrading into samurai all in one turn. This is important as the player can see and react to gradually increasing military strength, which they will appropriately counter. Upgrading immediately or even Grandmaster Chapelling lets you build up an army insanely fast. You will also get the first rate general as your encampment cost reduction lets you build them faster than anyone else, and you'll get the great people points faster. Check out all these other videos you might like, and leave a like and subscribe if you did enjoy to not miss out on future content. I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.